This is a brown paper bag. Y'all tell me if I'm lighter than a brown paper bag. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Twisted Lyf with Poetry. I am Poetry. You are here for a Colorism brown girl tag. My girl Ti Bivens, she's doing a whole series on, or a few segments on colorism on her channel. So check out Ti Bivens' channel, and I'll link the first two videos that she posted up in regards to this subject matter. When she first asked me if I would join this tag, she wanted to get black women on both sides of being just brown to speak. And my first reaction was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. But I'll join in. I seriously didn't understand what the heck it meant to be just brown. But I do know what colorism is. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and join in on this. So after watching her first video, it became clear that those of us in the middle of the black people color spectrum is who she was looking for opinions from, because there's not many videos out there about it. Usually you will have, from what I've seen, usually there's a darker skinned sister. I very rarely see men speak on colorism at all, who's speaking about all the negatives that they had to encounter when dealing with colorism. Or I'll see women of lighter hues saying that they're exaggerating. That's normally what I would see when we're speaking of colorism. And just like give a brief summation of what colorism is. It's within our own race, it's the prejudices and stereotypes that are placed on us within our own race based off of the level of melanin that we have in our skin. And as Ti said in her first video, I think white people are probably the only ones that don't deal with this. I am not sure. If y'all do, let me know. With the exception of Irish people, because people look at them and they see them as the darker hues because they have the curly hair. They consider them the black people or white people. So that let me correct myself on that. I know there have been Irish people who have been subjected to colorism by by other whites. Ti asked us to speak on our personal experiences and observations that we've made. So these are all my opinions based off of my personal experiences, and they're grounded in my own truth. I'm not going to sit here and debate with anybody in this channel about what my truth is. So I'm going to start off first with my YouTube experiences. The fact that Ti asked me to take part in this was really shocking to me, because a lot of people who have, we have had conversations about color, when it comes to me, they consider me a light-skinned person. So I wouldn't fit into the brown skin color wheel. I myself personally think that I'm in the middle. Okay. I tend to get darker hue people are the ones who are debating whether or not I'm considered light skinned or not. I mean, and it gets to be like, if I was to hear their voices, you ain't black. I mean, you light skinned. What you talking about? You light. Is that type of? So they say it with such negative tones that it's clear to me that they are offended by the fact that I don't think that I'm light skinned. The actress from Black is Yara Shahidi. I can never pronounce her last name right because I don't know how to spell. If I know how to spell, I can pronounce it right. She made a statement that she was not light skinned. People were saying that she was benefiting from in Hollywood, that she was having more privileges in Hollywood because she's light skinned. And she was like, I'm not light skinned. Even though she is a lighter complexion, she's a brown skinned girl in the middle. I totally agree with her. I think she's a brown skinned girl. Gabrielle Union wrote a book, in her book, she talks about colorism a lot and how the negative effects of people consider her being a dark skinned girl. And I'm looking at her like, we the same color, sis. You ain't dark skinned either. You in the middle. But these are everybody's own personal experiences. So, but when I see both of these women, I don't see them as a darker skinned woman either. I don't see them as a light skinned woman. I think they're in the middle of the spectrum, which is also where I place myself. So, my most two recent YouTube experiences that one young lady she just like flat out like, you light skin, you ain't. I was like, no, I'm brown skin. She was like, no, you ain't, you're light skin. And I've actually met her face to face, and compared to her, yes, I am lighter than you, but I'm still not light skinned. My other experience was through a live stream, and the person was debating with me back and forth about whether or not I'm light skinned. I was like, no, I think I'm in the middle of the color wheel. She was like, no, you're light skinned. You wouldn't pass a brown paper bag test. And I was like, the fuck? I know I'm darker than a brown paper bag. And normally I take offense. Normally I take offense to that type of conversation, because most times the people are saying it to say I'm not black enough when they try to make me light skinned. And I think a lot of times it has to do with my hair. Maybe my hair texture. You know, there's some type of determination on whether or not you're black based on your hair. I don't know. But in Ti stream, me and the person I said, we were talking about the brown paper bag test. And like I said, because I'm cool with this person, I feel like I can still joke with them and not be offended. But like I said, normally in most cases I would take offense to it. So when she mentioned that I wouldn't pass the brown paper bag test, for those of you who don't know what it is, the brown paper bag test was something that was done back in the day to give entrance into certain organizations. There was many churches, fraternities for sure, different nightclubs. They would use the brown paper bag test method to say whether or not a person can come into the place. And like I say, this is not, when I'm talking about colorism, I'm not talking about other races. I'm talking about us in the black race. This is what was done within the black race to prove whether or not you were privileged enough to come into this place. And if you were either the same color as the brown paper bag or lighter, you were able to be admitted in. People who were darker was considered nasty, ghetto, whatever, right? I decided I'm gonna do the brown paper bag test. I have a brown paper bag here. I was saying that it's because my lights, that I may look lighter on camera. I don't know. My light is on right now. This is a brown paper bag. Y'all tell me if I'm lighter than a brown paper bag. I don't think so. Okay, let me turn my camera light off. Hold on. That really changed the lighting in the room. Again, the brown paper bag test. But I've been let in, y'all, or not? Y'all think that I'm darker than a brown paper bag, or I'm lighter than a brown paper bag? When I see myself, when I look at myself, I think that I am darker. I have a lot of red undertones. And if my mother is correct, my great-grandmother was supposed to be of Native descent, but I have 1% Native American in me, based off my ancestry DNA test. So I don't think that, you know, yeah. But according to the brown paper bag, I think that I am darker than a brown paper bag. I don't know. Y'all tell me. All right, and now I put the light back on. This is an old picture of my cousin. This is who I would consider light skinned in my family. This is the color that my grandmother was as well. I know she probably like, Nene, did you put that picture up? Yeah. So I would consider her to be the lighter complexion. My cousin is biracial. And so that will explain a lot of her lighter undertones. But for me, both my parents was black. Both of their parents was black. On both sides. All the way back to the 1780s, I've been able to trace my ancestry DNA, and we have been black people. There has been no integration of sex with a white person to produce the next generation, all the way back to the 1700s on both sides of my family, my mother's side and my father's side. That may not be true. I'm not sure about my father's side, because I ain't even sure who the fuck my real father is. But yeah, for the most part, I think that I would not have been gain entry based off of this brown paper bag. This brown paper bag is definitely lighter than me. So I just wanted to show that. Like I said, the other girl who, like I said, who's met me face to face, she actually identifies everybody by their skin tone. She doesn't call them by their name. She'd be like, that brown girl there, you know, the dark guy. It's fascinating to me that she does this, being that we are in the same age group. I could see more with people that are like over 60 because that's the generation that they came from, and maybe that's because that's the type of household that she grew up in. I'm assuming. I don't know. I think she mentioned it before why she does that, but I don't know. So just going back to my personal experiences. When I look back on growing up, I do not recall direct experiences under the age of 7 that I recognized as colorism. I grew up in a black neighborhood. The only white person in the neighborhood was my cousin's mom. But I didn't even look at her as being a white person. So yeah. So I don't recall me having experiences that separated me from the rest of my cousins, and we were all different hues. I was actually the darkest person in the household. Now think about it, because my cousin Charlie and her brother Charles, they maybe just like a shade or two lighter than me, not much. Until my cousin April and them came. April and them was a little dark. They were darker than me. My cousin Darlene and Harry didn't stay at the house often. They were about the same color as me. Now the adults in the house, they were like from light skin to blue black type of skin tones. But I just didn't never directly understand or identify it then. It wasn't until I moved in with my aunt at age 9 that I noticed colorism. And actually, I still didn't notice it till later on in life. But when I look back at my life, my aunt used to take in a lot of foster kids, and the darker skinned kids got blamed for everything. If the cookies went missing, they got blamed first, and usually I was the one that took them. I think my little cousin always talks about an experience where we pulled baby powder all over the basement floor so we can skate, because we couldn't go skating. So we would skate on the basement floor, and they immediately went to her and said that she did it. I could do no wrong. And at that time, I guess I was one of the lighter children in the house. I went from one household where I was the darkest child to a household where I was the lightest child. And so I clearly knew that they got in trouble more. In addition to my aunt's husband was a molester. And now that I think back on those times, I realize that all the children that he molested were the lighter complected children. The darker skinned children, I don't know, because he's dead now. I'm assuming that they were nasty to him, or this, I don't know what it was. His wife was a darker skinned woman, but his wife had colorism issues as well. The only exception that you would have in that household to be treated in a more nicer manner, is a good way I guess I could say it, was if you had long hair. So if you were dark, if you were midnight black, you were mailbox blue black, whatever, if you was a dark skinned person, but you had long hair, it was a win. I don't know if the long hair meant that they was closer to white or not as black as they could be. I don't know what it meant. Everybody that was in that household is dead now, so I can't ask them. So yeah, that's my basic experiences that I had directly with myself. The next experience that comes to mind, my other experience that comes to mind deals with my daughter. I had her in a church daycare, and I learned that she was never allowed to go outside and play. And I'm thinking, what the heck is my daughter doing wrong? Is she being bad? Why she can't go outside and play? And she told me that the daycare worker said that she couldn't go outside because she did not want her to get blacker. Or I would send her to the daycare with some afro puffs in her hair, some braids or what have you. And my daughter would always come home with her hair pressed. And they were trying to make her not get any blacker. This is exactly what the woman told me. She had long, pretty hair. So I was like, what the fuck does that got to... So that was my first real experience, like somebody's directly telling me that they didn't want my daughter to get blacker. Now my daughter, if y'all see her, she's a darker shade than me. But yeah, they want her to get blacker because she had long, pretty hair. I didn't understand that. I recently just had a girlfriend make a comment about how light-skinned, pretty girls like my daughter could get away with not having a job because they could easily find somebody to take care of them. I almost punched my friend in the face, but we was on the telephone, so I couldn't do it. So my response was like, bitch, my daughter ain't hardly light skinned. And I think I got so offended because I know the struggle that she has been through with her friends, dragging her about being darker complected. Now my friend is saying that my daughter's light skinned, but I know for a fact that my daughter has grew up. Hold on for a second, y'all. I feel like I was about to get a nosebleed. My daughter has grew up with this idea that she's too dark and she's too ugly because she had friends that were lighter complexion than her. And so, like, so now for somebody to say that she's light skinned and use it as a negative, that just really pisses me the fuck off. Like, I have went through making sure that my daughter knows and understands that her black is beautiful, that her melanin is appreciated, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, that her hair doesn't need to be permed, for her to be pretty, you know, things like that. I would like send her random text messages. I got my daughter's cell phone when she was 10. I started sending her text messages about how black is beautiful and how to be proud of her blackness, and, you know, trying to encourage her because I knew what fight she was in the school. My cousin, who is a hairstylist, he would always say he wanted to do my daughter's hair, and I was like, okay, I just want you to wash it and braid it up, what have you. And I wanted her to, I was gonna let her be flat iron for the first time. He tried to sneak a perm in my daughter's hair because he felt that, you know, she needed to have it to be super long and wavy, and he couldn't get it as straight as it wanted to be if he was flat iron. And I was like, no. Like, my daughter has never had a perm in her hair. She's 20 years old. She's never had a perm. Even though it looks like she's had a perm, she's been flat ironing. The only chemical she's ever had in her is the color. But I didn't like the implication that, you know, because you can't get it as straight as possible, that makes her unbeautiful or something like that. So, in her case, light-skinned people say she was too dark, as if it was a negative. And in one experience, one friend, I had told them to catch the bus home. I used to go pick them up from school. I had told them to catch the school bus home. And her friend told her, well, Keena, you can catch the bus. Light-skinned girls like me don't do that. I was like, what the fuck, you know? Then dark-skinned girls call her too light, as if to say she's privileged. And usually in the way of a boy. That, like, you know, he only liked you because you light-skinned type of shit. I personally cannot recall an experience where I had anybody that was lighter complexion than me come at me with a negative about being darker than them. What I usually experience is that person having a negative about themselves because somebody has embedded in them that being lighter skinned, that you ain't black enough. So usually they'll say, I wish I had your skin, you know. So yeah, but I've never had anybody lighter skinned than me come to me with a negative. But darker skinned people, they debate my blackness left and right. I don't know what the fuck that's about. They will argue with me that I'm mixed with something. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Yeah, you mixed with something. No, I'm not. Even, like I say, even though I don't know exactly who my father is, all the men that could possibly be my daddy is black, and their parents are 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 black, stretching back generations. So I'm not mixed with anything. I'm mixed with black and black. That's pretty much what it is. Like, we did my ancestry DNA test, and you know, ancestry would go back centuries and generations, and it tells you like your genetic composition. And like I said, of me, my daughter, and my mother, I am the lighter complected one of the three, but I am the one with the most African percentage in my DNA strain. Like, the rest of it, I think, was like I said, Native American, and then I had a small percentage of Irish, I believe it was. Yeah. But black is the dominant gene. Not necessarily going on that one drop rule, but black is the dominant gene. And if we got centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries that no white person has integrated, or any other race of people has integrated into our bloodline, I'm black. That's just how it makes it. But yeah, darker skinned people will debate me tooth and nail on whether or not I'm black. I'm like, one guy told me that I couldn't be black because of my hair. As if kinky is the only texture that black people have. I lived in Africa for about 6 months, and I met so many different hues and hair textures of black people there. There's a whole country, Melanesia, which is part of my mother's, even though my mother has like her African percentage is not as high. She has a high percentage of Melanesia. Melanesia is black people. They so black, they black people, but they are black people with blonde hair and blue eyes. But they skin, and they're not tan black, they black. They come out the womb, boom, black people. So that's where my mother's other descent comes from, other racial background comes from. And so black people, like we have a kaleidoscope. We make a kaleidoscope of different things. Like we draw in everything. So yeah, I hate for people to sit here and just debate me on how black I am and whether or not I'm black. That's basically been my experience with colorism. So like I think when Lupita Nyong'o came out, it became popular to be a dark-skinned girl, and then everybody went on this fad to make sure that everybody pumps up dark-skinned women. And I'm not saying that's as a negative, because I know of history how bad it was placed, how negative it was placed on darker skinned people to be considered worthless and not shit because they were dark skinned. So I appreciate the movement to uplift and appreciate darker skinned women. What I hate about the movement is that now it seems that you can't say shit nice about anybody who's not dark skinned. If you give a compliment to somebody that's not dark skinned, they say, well, they take it as a privileged moment. Like, of course she cute because she like, of course she this, of course she that, of course she doing this because she like. And it's just like, just appreciate people, we black. We should all be loving each other, no matter what level of hue that we have as black people. It annoys me to hear biracial people try to say that they're not black. I understand that you are mixed with more than one race, but you're still black. But I hate for them to say, I hate to hear black people tell biracial people that they ain't black. Well, you got a white mama, so you ain't black. They are still black. They white too, but they still black. So like looking in the media and things like that, when Amara La Negra came out and started talking about it on Love and Hip Hop Miami, I was so here for the conversation, because people try to act like it doesn't exist, especially worldwide. Worldwide, they like to call it classism instead of colorism or racism. But yeah, there is a clear divide in skin tone divide within our race. And like I say, and this is like 2018, and the fact that I'm still having this conversation, and the fact that just Sunday somebody told me that I wouldn't pass the brown paper bag test, and I'm clearly darker than a brown paper bag. The fact that we were having this conversation was like, really, bitch? I mean, well, I didn't call him a bitch, it was just, but that's the thought process. So I don't even know if I really addressed what Ty wanted me to address, because I really don't have direct experiences where lighter skinned people were negative towards me, but they did take it in conversation to place a negative tone on them for not being dark enough. But I've always had darker skinned people debate whether or not I'm black or I'm black enough. And usually my hair plays a factor. They don't necessarily say that I'm not black because I'm not dark. It's usually, well, you got hair like that, so how can you be black? Or but yeah, just recently to hear people that's in my own age group like insist that I'm light skinned, red bones, I guess is what the way we call lighter skinned girls. They used to call them red bones. Yeah, I'm not that. I'm in the middle. I'm stuck in the middle. I like to say I'm caramel. So we got our chocolate sisters, this is the darker skin sister, the caramel tones in the middle. Why light skin people don't have no? What they macadamia nut? What are they? They don't give them a food coloring. You know what I'm saying? They just light skin people. It's just weird to me. I always thought that was weird as shit. Like I said, but I know, like, when I'm with friends, yeah, we do tend to joke sometimes about skin tone. Y'all may hear me often say something about with my black ass. And I noticed that sometimes when I say that, people will respond, "You ain't black." Well, I mean, you ain't even dark. But they'll say you ain't dark. I say with my black ass, and they say you ain't even dark, as if I gotta be dark to be black. Yeah. So I don't know if this made any sense at all. But this was the colorism tag with Ti Bivens. Like I said, I'm gonna tag her 2 videos. I think she's getting a little more in depth, and she's gonna continue this on as a segment. I don't know if she wanted us to continue on as a segment. I don't know if I will. But if y'all had any experiences with colorism, and you consider yourself to be in the middle of the spectrum, pop it down in the comment section and talk about what you experienced. And the reason why we're saying the ones who are in the middle of the spectrum, like I said, we hear a lot already from the darker sisters. We hear a lot already from the lighter sisters. And her whole goal was to focus on the people that's in the middle who don't really talk about it often. So, yeah, I ain't trying to segregate or discriminate against anybody else for speaking out on it, but we wanted to hear some different voices and some different viewpoints. So thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Peace.